and his verification is for $100 million liquid plus. And so the guy has over $100 million. And he did it all through 2 or 3 of these apps, and I believe with close to no employees, and he did it over around like 8 or 10 years.
We have a friend who it seems like might get rich very quickly here. And
Richer.
Let me explain. Richer. They created a product or a service or an app, and every day they're posting a chart of like the growth of this thing. And it's like an early version of a hockey stick. It's like, yep, we went from doing $100 a day, $500 a day, $1,000 a day, today $3,000 a day. Today's going to be $9,000 a day. Pretty quickly, like, fast forward 2 weeks, this person's going to put a chart in there that's going to show them doing $200,000 in revenue just today. And it's going to be, nothing has changed. It's just, they just let the growth carry on. And you see that and you're like, wow, that's winning. Like, that's the HOV lane. That's the fast lane where you could just go in and you could win faster. Like, geez, I didn't realize that. I thought I got to bust my ass for 10 years. And the reality is this person has been busting their ass for 10 years, building up the skills so that they can launch a new product and they can do, let's call it 5 to 10 million this year in potential profits. Now, this person, if you remember, many months ago,
they told us
this exact thing. They go, yeah, I'm just thinking about ideas that can make, I forgot what they said, 10 or $50 million. I want to make $10 million in a year, $50 million in a year. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, sure. And I want Jessica Alba to, add me on Snapchat right now. Like, but it's not necessarily going to happen. Like, you could just say it, but he was like, no, I've been studying. There's apps that do that in the App Store. And
he's like showing us
gave me 12 examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, just showing us screenshots and examples. It's like, that does that? Yeah. This does that? Yeah. And now you see 10 of them, and all of a sudden, first of all, I never knew somebody who even stated a goal like that. So just hearing it for the first time was like, that's interesting. I knew people that would say, I want to build a huge company, $1 billion company. That was normal. I'd heard that before. I'd heard, I want to get a high paying job. I want to make, $500K a year at this company. I've heard that before. I had never really heard somebody be like, I'm looking for a way that I can make $10 million in 3 months. That was actually the exact thing. It was, how do I make $10 million in 3 months? And so I was like, all right, well, never heard that. That was new. Then I thought, well, my brain doesn't come up with any examples of how to do that. That's like, doesn't involve, putting a ski mask on and walking into a Wells Fargo. So like, and then he gave me 10 examples. And so it's like, okay, well, now I got 10 examples. Number 11 doesn't seem so far-fetched at that point. And I remember coming to and talking to you and being like, dude, have you heard anybody think like this, talk like this, come up with ideas like this? Because I believe that there's great power in questions. And I had never really heard somebody ask the question, how do I make $10 million in the next 3 months? And once that question was asked, now my brain has to start coming up with answers. And at first my brain was struggling. And then as he gave me examples, it started to get better and better and better and come up with examples about how you might do that. And now it's literally happening. Like that,
right in front of us.
Scenario is actually playing out right in front of us. What do you think of this?
I think it's awesome. I think it's still too early. I think anything that comes fast will go away fast or can go away fast. But
Correct.
He called his shot, and we are seeing on a daily basis whether it's coming. It is, in fact, now coming into reality. And I think it's awesome. I think that there's ways. I think Peter Thiel said it, where he's like, what's your 5-year goal? And then someone says their goal, and he says, cool, how can you do that in 6 months? So I usually believe in that. Right. This guy took it even further, which is, what's your 5-year goal? Do it in 3 months. And it's awesome. And there's another guy who I know that's done this, and he's public. His name is Alan Wong. Do you have the app on your iPhone that lets you listen to police scanners? It's like the police scanner app.
No, but I know of these apps. These apps are weird.
Yeah, it's like 5-0 radio app. I think like 50 radio app. And this nice. Guy, Alan Wong, he posted in Reddit in 2013, and he basically said, he said, "Hey, I'm Alan Wong. I was told to create an AMA here."
I have it up here.
Yeah, you want to read it or read
I have it up
it?
here. He goes, ask me anything. I'm a person in his 20s who went from rags to riches during the recession. He goes, how I did it. I develop apps. My most popular app is called the 50 Radio Police Scanner. It lets you listen to police chatter around the world. You've probably seen this used in the latest Spider-Man movie, although they rebranded it. And as of 2012, my apps have been downloaded by 20 million people. By the way, this is 10 years ago he wrote this. So he did this in the 2008, 2009.
Well, I have an update on it that I can give you in a second.
So he goes, my parents were raised in the slums of China. They fled here with my brother to New York. My mother worked in a sweatshop in Chinatown before she quit and became a homemaker. My father was an herbalist before he passed away unnaturally 3 months after I graduated from college. After his passing, no one in my family had a job. And so he says, I found a full-time job at Columbia University. I was the only one with income, so I taught myself how to create apps in my free time. And I created apps on the weekends with hopes of making some side income. I didn't expect this to make me millions. And then he says, where does he say his money? I don't think he says his money somewhere here, but yeah, go ahead. Fill in the gaps.
So he doesn't say it there, but I found it. So there's this other subreddit that I talk about all the time called Fat Fire. And they've got this particular type of flair called verified by the mods, where the mods, the moderators, look at the income or your balance sheet. They look at something and they say, yeah, we believe it. What you are saying is true. And his verification is for $100 million liquid plus. And so the guy has over $100 million. And he did it all through 2 or 3 of these apps. And I believe with close to no employees. And he did it over around like 8 or 10 years.
It's by the way, he says, so he has 3 apps. He has 50 Radio, then he has Police Scanner Plus, and then he has one more called, what is it called? Hang on. He's got 3 apps that were in the top, like the top 100. So he goes, this means I'm the only person ever in App Store history. This is what he wrote at the time. This was back in, I don't know, 2012, 2013, something like that. That I'm the only person in history to have to have 3 apps in the App Store that were top 10 overall in the paid and free categories at the same time.
Yeah, man, this guy's cool. And then if you Google his username, it's Rego Apps, so REGO Apps, and then Fat Fire. You'll see his posts from Fat Fire, and he talks about what it's like to be different tiers of rich. And he has all types of like, you know, when I was at this thing, this is how I felt. When I was at this other thing, this is how I felt. And now, according to his flair, it's over 100 million. So you're asking, who else do I know that's done this? I don't know this guy, and I can't verify that any of this is true, but it's pretty interesting, and it might be true.
Well, yeah, and I don't know the speed that this guy did it, but still amazing. By the way, we should get verified in Fatfire. Why aren't we posting in Fatfire? That seems like those are our people. We should hang out.
I do post there. I post there under a name that no one knows me as, but I would post there more. Would you post? Do you use this?
Yeah, I'll go browse. I never post, never comment, but I'll make an account and I'll let's do it. Let's get verified. Let's do an AMA there.
Yeah. So look, this guy's thing says I found his username. He goes, I fat fired at age 25. I make $10 million a year in my 30s. 10 million plus a year in my 30s. And I have over $100 million according to, which has been verified for the mods. And here, this is what he says. Someone says, what's the difference in millionaires or in money levels? He goes, at 100K to $1 million, you can tip very generously and be okay with that. At 1 to 5 million, you could fund some medical expenses and maybe a college tuition or 2, maybe for an extended family member or friend. At 5 to 20, you could pay off a handful of college tuitions. I guess they're asking about donation. You can pay off a handful of college tuitions and some expensive surgeries. And then he jumps to 50 to 50 million. You can create several nonprofits and overseas that are overseas and help people at a community level, like building a school or a local community or something. So he like talks about this constantly throughout this subreddit, and it's very, very interesting.